the difference from snitching and being a concerned citizen. Make the call, y'all. Make the call, y'all. The streets stay violent if we remain silent. So make the call, y'all. Make the call, y'all. We can't be afraid. We praying for better days. Make the call, y'all. Make the call, y'all. It ain't up to the police, it's up to you and me to make the call, y'all. Make the call, y'all. It's a difference from snitching and being a concerned citizen. Make the call, y'all. Make the call, y'all. The streets stay violent if we remain silent. So make the call, y'all. Make the call, y'all. We can't be afraid, we praying for better days. Make the call, y'all. Make the call, y'all. It ain't up to the police, it's up to you and me to make the call, y'all. Make the call, y'all. It's a difference from snitching and being a concerned citizen. Make the call, y'all. Make the call, y'all. The streets stay violent if we remain silent. So make the call, y'all. Make the call, y'all. We can't be afraid, we praying for better days. Make the call, y'all. Make the call, y'all.
Hello and welcome to Make the Call. I am Judge Cordell, the host of the program that wants you to make the call to provide information to assist the East Palo Alto Police Department in solving open homicide cases. On our program, we feature the profiles of murder victims by speaking with their family members and friends. In doing so, you will learn who these victims were and why it is so important to find their killers. Also on this program, we will take a look at an innovative program, East Palo Alto's Youth Court. It's an amazing and refreshing approach to juvenile justice that involves our young people. I guarantee you that you will be impressed with Youth Court. Make the Call is needed because there is only a 50% solve rate for homicides committed here. And it isn't because the police aren't doing their best. They most definitely are. It's because witnesses, some of whom are watching this program right now, won't come forward to give the police the information they need to apprehend these murderers. It is our hope that after watching this program, you who have information will come forward because it's the right thing to do. Our first victim profile is of Paris Meacham. Detective John Norden with the East Palo Alto Police Department will give us the details of this case.
Thank you. On July 22nd, 2009, it was 12:38 in the afternoon. East Palo Alto police officers were summoned to the 1100 block of Laurel Avenue on a report of a shooting victim. When they arrived, they found a man on the sidewalk on the corner of Laurel Avenue and Bay Road. They called the paramedics, but he was pronounced dead at the scene. He was identified as Paris Meacham, who was 18 years old and from the neighborhood. Despite all our efforts, we were unable to locate witnesses or gather the vital information we need to solve the case. We have a couple of phone numbers that we'd like to put out for persons who would like to call. They can be done anonymously. The first is our anonymous tip line at 650-853-8477, or our murder hotline, which is 188-MURDER-0.
Thank you, Detective. With us to talk about the life of Paris Meacham are his mother, Yvette Mayfield, his cousin, Isabel Brooks, and another cousin, Eleanora Brooks. So thank you all for coming on this program. I know this is a very difficult time and hard time, but thank you very much. It took a lot of courage, I think, to come forward. So let me start first with Paris's mother. Can you tell us how was it you found out about your son's death?
I was actually at home on leave. I was on a leave of absence at work, and I got a phone call from his dad. And at that same time, I was just on the phone with a friend of my younger son's mother, and we were talking about how every time she sees Paris, he's always so respectful, and something about his smile. And my phone clicked, and it was his dad. And when I answered the call, his dad basically just said, Paris is gone. And I kind of just said, what do you mean he's gone? And when he said it again, I just kind of, I guess I just lost it. I didn't know what to do. I just kind of was.
So what did you do? What did you do?
I ended up jumping in my car and trying to go to the scene where it happened. I was on the phone with one of my girlfriends who kept just telling me, he's gonna be okay when you get there, they're gonna be working on him. But as soon as I hit Newbridge, the direction that I was coming, I seen the yellow tape, and that's when reality set in.
So did you stay at the crime scene, or what happened?
I stayed there until they took his body away.
So, I appreciate that you're here, and I can also appreciate how hard this is. I can't really know because I have not lost a child in this fashion. But if you will tell us, because I think if anybody who knows something is watching, they've got to be moved by hearing you talk about this because it's so hard. So what has it been like for you without your son, without Paris?
It's hard. A lot of people say that I'm a very strong person when it comes to a lot of things, but I have my good days, I have my bad days. On my bad days, I just try and just remember him and how joyful he was. I mean, Paris used to clown around a lot. He was always joking, and sometimes I'd have to tell him, you need to be more serious about things, and he'd tell me, Mom, you worry too much. Or it was always something, you know. He was the son, but he would try to act like he was my dad. Where are you going? Who are you going with? When are you coming back? There's just certain sides of him that other people probably never have seen in him.
Right. We have some photographs that you have been able to provide to us about Paris, and perhaps if we could take a look at some of those photographs, and their two cousins are here as well, and maybe you all could tell us a little bit about what those photos are showing. So there's a photo up now, and what's that a photo?
He had went to the prom with one of his close friends, and
he looks so happy there, doesn't he?
They were.
He's handsome, very handsome. Let's see if there's another photo. And this?
We were out at a family get-together for my mother's birthday, and as usual, clowning around, taking photos.
Wow. And this?
We were at my son's graduation.
That's you?
His brother,
His
yeah.
brother's
That's me.
graduation.
His brother's graduation. Oh.
And him just at home doing him,
Just be in Paris,
just being Paris.
right? And I think this is our last one.
That was,
How old was he there? And what
Paris
grade?
was, I think, maybe 12. That was when he was playing youth
And
football.
another here.
And he was working on his car.
So I'm going to ask the cousins, because you haven't said anything just yet. And what are your thoughts about Paris, and how close were you to him?
Me and Paris was real close from day one. We lived together. We was always around, sports. I was always there. Like she said, Paris is he was a totally different person that nobody knew, about him. I mean, he's a jokester, goofing around.
Did he love family? Did he love his family?
Always.
Yeah. What can you tell us about?
One thing I used to tell Paris all the time, I'd always tell him, he would just be joking around, and I'd say, Paris, I love you. I always would tell him that I love him. And
He had the biggest smile.
yeah, he gets so happy. And then he could just, if he's negative, or if he say just a little comment, and I'll say, I just love you all the time.
Sounds like a wonderful young man. It really does. So, thus far, no one has come forward with information about the shooting and about your son's murder. But I do know that Detective Norton has been in contact with you, and also Detective Norton has been making efforts to try to locate someone. So Detective Norton, what kinds of things have you been doing since Paris's death?
Trying to locate witnesses, and we've had a tough time. We've done neighborhood checks of the streets where it occurred, the intersection, the entire 1100 block. We've gone house to house. And we don't know for sure whether there's just no witnesses or people are just too scared to talk to the police. Paris's mother and I have corresponded a few times on the telephone and through emails, trying to put our heads together, because sometimes people will talk to the family and tell them things that they don't want to tell the police. And so I want to make sure that she and I stay in touch and that we communicate, because any little bit of information,
Right.
even if people don't think it's really important, they have no idea how pertinent it might be to the case.
Right. So I'm going to assume that there's someone out there watching this program that knows something. Even if, like Detective Norton said, even if it's just a little bit of information. And we want those people to come forward. So I'm going to turn to Paris's mother. And if someone in the audience is watching right now who knows something, what do you want to say to that person or those people?
Just come forward. I mean, it could be their brother, it could be their sister, it could happen to anybody. And that's the sad part. I mean, nobody's invincible. And it's just like I go through the pain, there's other families that are out there going through the same pain. And it's just not right.
And how about you two? What do you have to say to somebody who might know something that could help bring justice in this case?
It's just not worth it.
I just want them to come forward.
Yes.
Just with anything. There's a lot of teenagers in East Palo Alto that know. They're just afraid to speak.
Exactly.
They're
So
worried
you
about.
think there's some people who do know something?
Yes, they do.
believe so.
They have songs on Facebook, MySpace, and they're speaking of Paris, but no one wants to come and speak forward.
Yeah.
They're afraid to just say what they know. And just the little bit that they do know would be right if they just called.
East
anonymous
Palo
line.
Alto is not that big. I mean, and everybody knows everybody, and everybody's kids. They grew up with their mother. I mean, it's too small for no one not to know anything.
So you feel somebody must know something.
Yes.
Definitely.
And why is it you think people are not coming forward?
They're afraid. Maybe if we can put out an award or do something, or make sure that whoever does come forward, that they don't get in trouble, or, they're protected or something,
Right. Right.
Some feel that they're not confident that they'll be protected, so they're
Exactly.
afraid to speak or to be labeled as a snitch. But
But
that it always
there
takes
are ways
one.
to protect their
Right.
identity.
Yeah.
We just want the information.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it always takes one person to be the leader.
One person to have some courage, right? To do the right thing.
Absolutely.
Right.
And I would think that if anyone were a friend of Paris,
Right.
that a friend would step forward
Right.
and say
Exactly.
something, even
Right.
if it's anonymously, to give
Right.
some information. So that's what we're hoping that will come out of this conversation here. So at this time, I thank you. I thank both of you. And Detective, thank you for your work in the field. It will continue to do what you can to help solve this crime. And if any of you have any information about the death of Paris Meacham, all you have to do is make the call, 1-888-MURDER-0. So it's up to you. Please do the right thing and make the call, 1-888-MURDER-0. On Saturday, January 7th, 2006, Officer Rich May of the East Palo Alto Police Department was gunned down by gang member Alberto Alvarez when Officer May responded to a disturbance at the Villa Taqueria. 4 years later, on May 4th, 2010, the Police Administration Building in East Palo Alto was dedicated in honor of Officer May. Attendees at the dedication included Police Chief Ron Davis, Mayor David Woods, Congresswoman Anna Eshoo, and San Mateo County Supervisor Rose Jacobs Gibson. While we are all tremendously saddened by Officer May's death, we are heartened by how the community has come together to honor this courageous officer.
On January 7, 2006, Officer Rich May gave his life to this community. The suspect was convicted and sentenced to the highest penalty possible under the law. A notorious criminal street gang was dismantled and dismembered. The trend in the community was that people did not talk to the police department. They did not give statements. They didn't tell us what they saw. Rich's case was different.
What became clear when Rich was killed is how the community responded. And what really stood out for me were the individual stories that came up. The mom that said how Rich took her son to jail, but came back to check on him to see if he's okay. The person who runs the girls' home, the teens' home, Rich would come by to make sure they were okay and safe.
His whole life, Rich has always been one to help kids. He's the first one there to volunteer to coach a team if a team needs to be coached or help someone out.
He dedicated his life to his work, his family, his community. This was like a second home to him.
East Palo Alto is truly a community, it's a family. And I am extremely pleased that the Merrill May family is now a part of the East Palo Alto family.
I know that he got in close with some families whose children he helped keep out of trouble. And those families, those parents came up to us after Rich was killed, telling us how much he made a difference in their lives. And that was just Rich. He never let anybody know he was doing it. He just quietly did it.
Officer May, he was a very well-respected police officer, cared about the community, cared about children.
Yeah, you gotta struggle to survive. It's hard to stay alive to the rules we abide to. I know you wanna fly to the sky real high, but you're gonna have to try to. We living a crazy life headed through your soul like
This 200-foot mural is a product of what we done 2 summers ago, where our teens researched for 16 weeks justice, environmental justice, criminal justice, economic justice, and came out with this beautiful piece that we dedicated here to the department.
In an effort to celebrate Rich's dedication to youth, my parents began the Rich May Foundation, an organization with the sole purpose of seeing kids from East Palo Alto be successful in life.
We have the plan of building a field, an all-weather field on the property that is behind St. Francis of Assisi Church. We would like to give the children of East Palo Alto an equal or better facility than anybody on the other side of the freeway.
Also, Rich May sacrificed his life protecting the citizens of East Palo Alto on January 7th, 2006. The East Palo Alto Police Administration building will forever be dedicated to his memory.
We had witnesses come forward who in prior times might not have been willing to come forward, but were willing to come forward and testify in court and point out the individual who murdered Officer Richard May.
That is the difference maker in this case. That's why this case was so successful, and that's why Rich's family has justice, and that's why the community of East Palo Alto has justice, is because the community stepped forward and said, unacceptable.
In a time of tragedy, you have a choice. You can crumble and hide, or you can stand up and make a difference. Rich always made a difference, and we celebrate that today.
I go on and on, thinking about how I have lived this long. Struggles, mistakes, a small part of this life, knowing how they kept me alive. Shootings at my door as only it's a normal day of horror. I said, peace in the streets, let's live a life of no war.
Rich has a permanent place in history and in the hearts of all the residents of East Palo Alto.
Our second victim profile is of Kara Jean Parks, known to her friends as Gigi, who was just 39 years old when her life was taken. Detective Nua of the East Palo Alto Police Department will describe what happened. Detective?
Yes. On Friday evening, on November 21st of 2008, East Palo Alto Police Department was dispatched to a ShotSpotter activation in the vicinity of 1657 Purdue Avenue. Upon arrival, police later discovered a black female that was lying unconscious on the street with a single gunshot wound to her head. She was later identified as Kara Jean Parks, or commonly known to her friends and family as Gigi. Moments later, Menlo Park Fire Department firefighters and American Medical Response paramedics responded to the scene, rendered medical aid to Ms. Parks. Unfortunately, later, she was pronounced deceased at the scene.
Thank you. With us to talk about Gigi is her friend Karen Williams. And Karen, thank you for taking the time to come on Make the Call to talk about Gigi. So first of all, how did you find out that Gigi had been killed?
I had got a phone call around 8 o'clock that she was on Hunter Street. So I got in my car and I went around there, and I didn't get that close, but I got close enough to see her lying there under the tarp.
And you knew it was Gigi?
Yes, and I was looking for the dog.
When you say you were looking for the dog, what do you mean?
I had just seen her at 4 o'clock that afternoon and gave her a puppy. I had 8 puppies, and I gave her one. I told her this is a trial test, and I'll be back at 8 around that time to come pick it up, because it was still on the puppy. It was still a puppy. And she said, okay, okay. And like 3 hours later, 4 hours later, I got that call.
That must have been just so hard.
Just left her. That was the hard part. I had just left her.
Wow. So, Karen, how long had you known Gigi?
Not that long. Just within the last year. I've seen her many, many times at the store. Many times, because she lived behind Mr. Price's barbershop. She had her own little bitty house back there. And I used to go back there because she had this big old pretty gray-eyed, gray Doberman picture that was pregnant. And unfortunately, that dog got shot by a stray bullet. And then she got another dog.
So she was a dog lover.
She loved dogs. That's how I met her. She loved dogs, and I always would see her standing in front of Mr. Price's, cleaning up, sweeping, cleaning the yard. And I used to just come over and sit and talk and kick it back there in a little corner spot.
So we don't have photographs of Gigi for this program. So would you describe her for us?
Pretty Puerto Rican, curly red hair, she speaks Spanish more than English. She always spoke Spanish. She was sweet.
Was she a tall person?
No, she's short, kind of thick. She was thick. Pretty round, fat face.
And what kind of personality was she?
Sweet.
Like a happy person or kind of?
Always.
Yeah, really?
Always. She would tell me about a few problems, but majority of the time we talk about happy times. It was always about the dogs, though, a lot. Talking them to the vet, getting medicine or something, or what we'd use to each other dogs and stuff.
So Detective Nua, you knew Gigi.
Yes, I did.
So how did you come to know her, and give us your impressions about Gigi?
It's kind of funny because we were just talking about that she has an affection for dogs, right?
Right.
So I happened to be in patrol in a beat where this market that Karen talks about, Eastside Market, on the 2300 block of Clark. The way I got to know her is that her little dog bit me in my leg. Oh. And then that's how I got to know her. As she came, she says, please don't take your dog to the Humane Society. And then from there, I got to know her, and she was very pleasant. She was a very nice person. She was always open. She offered to me, which is really nice. Yeah, which is really rare.
Wow. So how often did you interact with Gigi during the time you knew her? Would you see her like every day, once a month, once a week? Or?
I would see her every week.
Really?
Yes, while I was on patrol.
Wow. So, Karen, I mean, I have heard that Gigi was homeless for a while, or do you know anything about that?
I don't know nothing about her ever being homeless, because I consider where she stayed is not homeless.
So she had a place?
She had a little place, and it had a bed, and it had a TV, and it had PG&E.
So she was, as far as you knew, she was not homeless.
She was not homeless, no.
And did she have lots of friends, or was she pretty much a loner?
No, she had lots of friends. I'm surprised none of them are here. That's the amazing part, because I tried to call and get people here for her.
And you called, and what happened when you called?
Scared.
People were afraid?
Just afraid.
Afraid of what?
I don't know. I don't even know why they're like that down there. It's just, it's like the people, well, my generation's gone. Not dead or gone, but just moved out, gone to other cities. These are our kids' kids growing up into this society, because 70s and the 80s, beautiful. Beautiful. No fighting, no nothing. We fist fought. We didn't have guns.
Not these guns.
No guns. 90s.
Yeah. Detective Nua, did you make any effort to maybe try to find some friends or family members to come on this program?
Yes, I did.
What did you do?
I called all families and friends who were related to the case, and then I even asked those folks who even knew of those family and friends that were connected in this whole structure. Like she said, she had many friends, and I found it hard for them to come to the show. They felt heartfelt sympathy for the loss of Gigi, but at the same time, they were just unwilling to come on the show.
And did they tell you why?
I think what happens is predominantly, it's two theories here. There's one, that it's not said, but you can feel it as you speak to them. Some of them don't want to get involved for fear of retaliation, that's one. And then secondly, when you grow in a culture that's, as one is in East Palo Alto, there's what they call a snitch factor. And so maybe they know things, but they probably don't want to say anything for reasons of that nature.
I mean, that's the reason that we have this program, is to try to reach out to people who may know something and say, it's not snitching, it's about being courageous and it's about doing the right thing.
Exactly.
And Gigi, it's just horrible that the way she died, and it just shouldn't have happened. So it's really, that's what this is all about. And if there are people, and I would imagine, you know, that there are people there who out there who know. So Karen, if you could say one thing very quickly to someone out there who might know something who's quiet, what would you say to them now?
Please come forth, you guys. You guys know. Just tell it. Solve these murders that's going on in East Palo Alto. I'm so tired of going to funerals.
Could not have said it better. So if someone knows anything about the murder of Gigi, please, please make the call. 1-888-MURDER-0. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you on behalf of Gigi. Perhaps one of the most exciting programs to come to East Palo Alto is Youth Court. Watch this clip and you'll find out why.
I think I got a second chance to be successful in life because of Youth Court. My name is Eduardo Arellin. I grew up in East Palo Alto. In my freshman year of high school, me and my friends decided to steal some computers, and the next day we got caught. We stole the laptops from the school because we didn't care. After we got caught stealing the computers, we got two options, either be expelled or go into a Youth Court program. Youth Court is a place where they can help you when you make mistakes like me. It's like a real court. It's just run by teenagers like me. The difference there is in the Youth Court and a criminal court is that on the criminal court, they will send you to juvenile hall or jail. In a Youth Court program, they send you to do community service and some classes. Thanks to the Youth Court program, the school didn't press any charges, so I don't have no criminal record. Before I got into Youth Court, I didn't care about doing a good job on school. Now I am passing all my classes and enjoying the boxing club. Boxing is my favorite place to be because every time I get mad, I just hold in and then go to the boxing club and take my anger in the bags. Right now I'm getting ready because I'm having a fight, working out, getting in shape, not being on the street, getting in trouble. I'm proud of being on the boxing club because I help little kids and they learn of me, not be telling them to not be making mistakes, same as I did. Thank you, Youth Court, for giving me a second chance.
Here to explain to you what Youth Court is and how it works are some special guests. We have Leor Netta, the Executive Director of East Palo Alto Youth Court. We have with us Sergeant Jeff Liu, the East Palo Alto Police Department. And we have 3 Youth Court participants. We have Tasia Lacey, we have Destiny Carson, and Diana Peralta. So welcome to all of you. So let's find out more about Youth Court. Leor, what is Youth Court? What's the whole concept here?
So Youth Court is a restorative justice-based alternative to incarcerating young people of East Palo Alto.
What do you mean restorative justice concept? What?
Right, it's a good question. Restorative justice is really just a process that takes youth offenders and the victims, talks to the victims about the harms that were caused to them and their needs, and holds offenders accountable, and creates a process in which the entire community can come together, discuss it, and repair what was done so that that doesn't happen again.
So is youth court just your idea? You came up with this, or is youth court?
Oh, no.
No?
Youth court is an evidence-based process. There are over 1,300 youth courts across the country.
Really?
There are now 65 in the state of California. We are the very first youth court in San Mateo County, and the only pre-arraignment juvenile diversion program in East Palo Alto.
What does that mean, pre-arraignment?
That means that young people, we're the only program that's available to youth offenders immediately after they're arrested. We're a program that can provide services to them.
Such
and
as what kind
attention.
of services?
I meet with them, I talk to them about their case, I inform them about their rights, I help prepare them for this hearing that we conduct in a courtroom that's run entirely by young people, that talks to them, tries to mentor them, and counsel them so that they make better decisions.
Interesting. So I have a particular interest in this because while I'm hosting this program, I also am close to youth court because I'm a participant myself. I mean, I've actually presided in youth court. So I know these young people here. So let's just switch over here. Thank you for coming here to talk about youth court. And I'd first like to know, I'm going to start with you, Diana. Tell us, how old you are and what school you go to and what grade you're in. I'm going to ask that of each of you, and then we're going to find out what you do in youth court.
So I'm 15 years old. I go to East Palo Alto Phoenix Academy.
And what grade are you going into?
I'm going to
11th?
11th.
Great. Destiny.
I'm Destiny. I'm 16 years old. I go to Menlo Atherton High School, and I'm going to be a junior this year.
All right. And Tasia.
I'm Tasia. I'm 15 years old. I go to Phoenix Academy also, and I'm also going into my junior year.
Great. So why youth court? Well, how did this come into your lives? I mean, were you just bored one day and decided to, how did it happen? Let me start with you, Tasia.
Well, a friend of mine knew that I wanted to be like a lawyer and everything, because most of my friends know that I've always wanted to be a lawyer. I want to defend people and help people get through their rough patches. So he was like, hey, I'm a part of this thing called youth court and you should come check it out. I went and checked it out one day and it was like, whoa, like they're really serious. Like when I thought of youth court, I thought, okay, they're doing like mock trials, things like that. But like when I finally went, like they accepted me like it was a huge family, and they're like dead serious. Like we can all play around, but when it comes down to work, they get to work.
Fantastic.
And I loved that concept.
That's great. Destiny, how did you get involved?
Well, I never actually thought I'd be in a program like this. I mean, I'm a dancer, so I dance like almost every day. And it was 9th grade, I think it was, and Tasia actually told me about it, and I sort of set dance aside, and after like the first week, I knew it was something that I wanted to do because it interests me, you help your community, and like it gave me more things to do, and another category to maybe put on my college resume.
Sure, absolutely. And what about you, Dana? How did you get involved in youth court?
I had a friend who did it. It's at my school, so
Uh-huh.
yeah. And I just decided to come one day because I was waiting for my dad to pick me up.
Yeah.
And I went, and it just seemed interesting, so I decided to do it.
So you got hooked.
Yes.
Into it.
It's
So
an addiction.
what do you do, the three of you? What parts do you play in youth court? Because I know there are people who are lawyers, and there's clerks and bailiffs and all that stuff. So what have you done? Destiny, what do you do in youth court?
So I've been a clerk, which is very fun because I get to sit up there with you, and an attorney as well.
As a clerk, you also get to read the verdict.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The attorney part is really, you have to be dedicated to it. You have to know what you're talking about, and it's something that I might want to do in my future, so I
Really?
try to do it as well as I can.
So, Tasia, let me ask you this. Were you also a lawyer in youth court?
Yes.
So what's the preparation? Really, what did you have to do to?
Okay, so we receive these cases from the East Palo Alto Police Department, and what we do is first Leor speaks with them, and then we bring the case back to class, and we talk about the case, and we come up with a list of questions, all of us together, both sides. We come up with a list of questions that explains basically every part of their case, the important, unimportant. Then we go through, and we cross out the ones we don't need. We then bring the defendants in, and we ask them the questions, go over anything that we might have missed.
So you're the lawyer representing the young people that are coming into court because they've done something wrong.
Yes.
Right? So are there lawyers that represent the other side, though, like represent the victims and the community? And are there lawyers who do that, too?
Yes.
In youth court? Have any of you done that and represented the community?
I have.
You have. What was that like?
I liked it. I think I'd rather represent the community than represent a person, because you're representing everybody in the city, not just one person. And you have to represent that person if they're guilty or not guilty.
So what do you do? Who do you put on the stand to testify if you're representing the community?
I put on the stand either a witness, and I also asked the person who's done the crime questions.
So when you say a witness, do you bring the victim in to testify?
Yes.
You do?
And maybe a friend that was with them.
Okay. So, Diana, have you been a lawyer in these cases?
Not yet.
So what have you done in youth court?
I'm a jury.
Oh, you've been a
part of the
juror.
jury.
Oh, this is great, because I want to ask, what is it like being a juror in youth court?
It was intense.
How so?
You had to go, it was like, so first you had to listen to both sides. You had to like really think about it. You had to give it your all, and then, you know, you got sent to the room, and you had to go through what these people needed. So we pretty much had to get into the mind of the youth and know what they wanted to do. I mean, what they need to do better.
So how many people were on your jury, would you say?
I really didn't know, around maybe 10.
About 10 people, and they're what ages?
Like 15, 14, 16.
Right. So you then listen to the case, listen to all the testimony, and then you actually go to deliberate.
Yeah.
Is that right?
And it's really interesting.
So what happens in that deliberation room?
So we sit down, we go over both sides, we all give our opinion, and then we, like, again, we just decide what they need to have to do better.
So in youth court, the jury's not deciding whether or not somebody's guilty, right? Because the person's already admitted that they did something.
Yeah.
What do you decide as a jury? What are you deciding?
They're like serious and they're actually sorry and they're not playing around.
But what are you doing? You're not finding them guilty. You're
how much community service they
so
need.
you're doing the sentence, I guess. You're sentencing them. And so what kind of sentences?
So maybe they get like 12 hours of community service where, so if they're a person who wants to, so we had a case about this teenage boy, and you want to know, he really wanted to be like a mentor for children because he really loved his younger brother. So we decided to give him some hours at the Boys and Girls Club so he can take care of younger kids and keep them out of like.
It's a great idea. It's a great idea. So one of the things that happens in youth court that you've heard about is that the young people are actually the advocates and the lawyers. So we're going to watch a clip now of an opening statement, an introduction at youth court.
Remember, Ms. Rogers has admitted the offense. Now, the goals of this hearing are to determine what Ms. Rogers should do to lessen the harm done, to urge her to use better judgment, and to encourage Ms. Rogers to make positive contributions to the community. We will proceed with opening statements.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, today you're going to decide what to do when a student brings illegal drugs to school. First, you will hear from Robert Jackson, the principal of Ravenswood High School. On February 2nd of this year, Principal Jackson saw one of his students, Melissa Rogers, bring a marijuana cigarette into the school. This was the fourth time drugs had been brought into the school since the beginning of the year. There is no question that Ms. Rogers knew what she had done. In fact, Ms. Rogers confessed that the cigarette was hers and that she had smoked it earlier. The advocates for the respondent are going to try to convince you that Ms. Rogers is sympathetic. And while it may be true that Ms. Rogers has had problems at home, Ms. Rogers knew what she did was wrong. The truth of the matter is that what she did was illegal, and that this was a very serious crime that she had committed. Unless those who commit crimes like these learn the consequences of their actions, our community will suffer. We ask you consider these issues as you listen to the testimony you're about to hear. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Sam. Does the respondent wish to give an opening statement?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, why don't you come forward and use the microphone here.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I am here to tell you a story of a young girl who is struggling with family issues. She must face the mother and father who fight at home and who she feels are about to divorce. Despite facing adversity at home, she still does well in school. Even so, these problems are a heavy burden for this young girl to bear. On February 2nd, 2009, Melissa Rogers made an unwise decision. In a desperate cry for help, this vulnerable girl tried a marijuana cigarette to soothe the pain of having to face her parents' constant fighting. She then made the mistake of bringing that cigarette to school. Today, testimony will show that her circumstances contributed to her poor decision. Testimony will also demonstrate that she has no previous offenses, and furthermore, she is a good student. Based on these factors, it seems clear that she will not do this again. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lacey.
That was a remarkable presentation. And I have to tell you, I was a judge for almost 20 years. And I had lots of lawyers come into court, and rarely did I hear opening statements as clear, as concise, as well done as those given by you all. And Tasia, you were one of those that was featured in the clip. It was just really, really, really excellent. So I congratulate all of you for your work in youth court. I want to ask a question now of this sergeant who's sitting next to me, Sergeant Jeff Liu. And Sergeant Jeff Liu, why are you here? Why do you care about youth court?
Youth court is a great program. It provides an opportunity, not just to the offending youth that made a mistake. It gives them an opportunity to redeem themselves, to pay back the community that they offended, but also gives them a chance to be held accountable for what they did.
So you think it works?
I think it works.
And when you say it works, I mean, I saw the young people in the clip. I've listened to them here talk about it, but when you say it works, what do you mean?
Let's take Diana's example of the youth that offended, that wanted to mentor youth, right? It seems to me from what she was saying that he didn't really understand how to get into that. He knew what he wanted to do, but youth court gave him an opportunity by sentencing him to community service at the Boys and Girls Club, doing exactly what he wanted to do. It not only gave him a chance to pay back the community for his offense, but gave him an opportunity to succeed in something that he'd like to do.
And it is the case, though, that when there is a young person in trouble and police get involved, you're the ones that can decide whether or not to send the person to youth court. Is that right? The police?
Yes.
Is that how it works? So it's really kind of a coalition here. So if you decide that there's a young person who ought to go to youth court, you can be the decider, basically. Is that right? If the young person wants to go. I mean, that's part of it,
Absolutely,
right?
and that's a key part of it. The young person has to want to take the helping hand. The police officer is the first line of contact, obviously, with the offending youth. And there's this thing that we call the attitude test.
What's that?
If the offender has the attitude that they want to redeem themselves, they want to fix their mistake, and they want to move forward and be successful in life, youth court is a perfect opportunity for that. If they decide that they don't want to take that helping hand, then of course there's a legal system, but we'd rather send them to youth court because the overall goal here is to get them on the right track and keep them on the right track.
So Sergeant Liu, what happens to a young person that you've arrested and you decided the young person passed the attitude test, wants to go to youth court, and you say, okay, you go to youth court. What happens to that case? Because the person was arrested. So let's say that the young person goes through youth court and does everything he or she's supposed to do.
Then I would call that a huge success.
Does the case go away? Does it stay around, or what?
When the case is referred to youth court, and there's a successful resolution in youth court, that's where it stays. It does not get forwarded to the district attorney's office because we've handled the problem. We've resolved the issue.
So it really is a second chance.
It's absolutely a second chance.
So they're out of that juvenile court system entirely if they go to youth court. So Leor, back to you. You're the one that runs this program and pulls the young people in to do this. Who are you?
Kids.
I appreciate that, but who are you? What background do you have to do this?
I come from spending several years in the criminal justice system, mostly working with adults who'd committed very serious crimes. And I grew very, very frustrated after many years of doing that.
But what did you do? You haven't said what was your occupation?
I was a public defender.
So you're a lawyer?
Yes, I'm an attorney. And one of the things that was just very frustrating for me, Judge, was working with Adults knowing that I'd started working with them at a point at which it was very hard to intervene and change their lives. I knew with every single one of my cases that their criminal activity started when they were young people. So the best way to make an impact and help these folks was to start with kids.
So it seems to me to get, if I remember right, to get youth court going, you had to get the buy-in from a lot of different people and a lot of different groups to make this happen.
That's right.
Who were the groups and who gave you the buy-in?
Well, as the sergeant mentioned, this program would not exist without the instrumental involvement of the police department. It is a testament to the vision of folks like Chief Ronald Davis and the officers in that department that supported this program, wanted this program to happen, and have given their time and energy to it, that we are here today. That can't be understated. Beyond that, we have support from the San Mateo County District Attorney, the head of the Public Defender Program for San Mateo County. Supervisor Rose Jacobs Gibson has had an instrumental role in terms of creating focus groups in our community, gathering, making sure that this is a grassroots-driven effort.
That's great. One of the most exciting parts of youth court, I think, is the questioning of witnesses, the direct examination and the cross-examination, which you've had the experience of doing, and Deanna one day is going to have that experience of doing. So let's watch this clip of a direct examination and cross-examination.
What happened on February 2nd, 2009? I brought marijuana to school. Where did you find it? I found it in my brother's room in his desk drawer. Why did you bring it to school? I don't know. I felt bad about myself, and I thought that it would make me look cool. Why did you not use it at school? Can you repeat the question? Why did you not use it at school? I knew that it was wrong. Have you ever done this before? No, I've never done it before. How did you feel after bringing the marijuana to school? I felt bad, and I also knew that it was wrong, and I knew that I shouldn't have done that. Will you ever do it again? No, I won't. Are you sorry for what you did? I'm very sorry. No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Lacey. Cross-examination, advocates for the community. Is that Mr. Harris?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, come forward. Pull the mic up.
You know marijuana is illegal, correct?
Yes, I do, sir.
You brought it to school.
Yes, I did.
You wanted to get someone's attention for how you feel, am I right?
Yes, I did.
You could have reached out for your parents for some help, right?
They were too busy fighting.
You could have asked for a school counselor for some advice, right?
Most people don't go to school counselors because they don't trust them.
What about, can you ask a teacher?
I could have, but I didn't want them to go tell, like, the people, and then I get taken from my mom and dad.
So overall, you want to ask anybody for no help?
No, I didn't, sir.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Harris.
So I want to make clear that was a mock hearing. It really wasn't an actual trial, but you used mock trials or hearings to prepare everyone to handle the real thing. Is that right?
That's right. And also to make sure that the community was seeing this work and having an opportunity to contribute their thoughts about what our program was doing.
So let me ask more about the training for this in preparation. Did it take a lot of time to prepare to actually be the advocates or to be jurors? I'll start with Deanna. Did you have to have training for how to be a juror in these cases?
Yes.
And what was the training?
So Lior put us down and explained us what we had to do and how it was going to go. So it was like, he told us step by step.
So with regard to the jury, you all decide the sentence. How did you decide, how do you know what sentences, what kind of sentences you can impose?
He told us.
So what kinds of things are there?
Community service.
Community service, what else?
So we could take them to a tour to the police so they're able to see how it is, to the police, to the prisons, so they're able to see how it is and actually is in jail. And the last one.
Don't they have to do jury service too? Is that a requirement sometimes?
Jury service.
They have to actually serve on juries in
Yeah.
court too. Now, I actually think that's a very good idea to have young people who've been through the system actually sit as jurors on the case.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to do next in youth court, Deanna?
I want to be an attorney. So I want to be able to go up there and, defend the public, the community, or, defend
Either side, right.
Yeah.
So, Destiny and Tasia. Was it a lot of preparation and training?
Yeah, I guess a little bit. The first mock trial is when she, 3 days before, she told me to come join. And that's when I first saw them do the trial. And when I started coming regularly, she helped me being an attorney. I was on her side a couple times. And as well as Lior, he sits us down and tells us how to be professional and things to ask and just, yeah.
And you said, every time you'd meet. Do you meet regularly, or how does this work? Do you only...
Every Monday and Thursday.
Really?
Yeah.
And Tasia, what happens every Monday and Thursday?
Well, it depends on what we're doing. Currently, we have a case on Friday. So what we're doing...
This Friday?
Yes, this Friday. What we're doing right now is we're preparing for the case. We're making sure all the advocates know. We've already met with the 2 defendants, and right now we're making sure all the advocates, we're going over the questions, talking about the opening and closing statements, making sure everyone's clear and concise on everything they have to do.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. So I'll ask you 3, what would you say to some young people in East Palo Alto who are kind of thinking, youth court, I don't know. What one thing would you say to them to try to convince them to become a part of what it is you're doing? What would you say to Tasia?
Everyone deserves a second chance. There's no one that I know that has been completely perfect all through their life. And come on, we're teenagers. This is when you have the time where you can make those mistakes. And we're young, so we don't deserve to be judged and going straight into the criminal system when we're so young. We deserve, a second chance, a way not only to know that what we did was wrong, we make sure they know what's wrong, but we also make sure that we know why they did it.
And what about you, Destiny? What would you say to somebody to convince them?
To convince them to join? Basically what Tasia said, help out and help give a person a second chance because they need it. I mean, think if it was you don't want to go straight to juvenile hall. I wouldn't. I would want to learn from my mistakes and get something that I know will teach me not to do it again.
Great.
And I tell them, if you want to do something in working as a lawyer, come and join.
What about you, Dana? What would you say to convince people to become a part of
Try
this?
to describe the sweet satisfaction you get when you know that you've helped out somebody who's gone through trouble, because you've gone through something bad and you don't want to be harassed and tortured more than you already have. So you just want to get to, you want it to be smooth and.
It's great.
Yeah.
Right. Lior, these are 3 remarkable young women. Are you telling me that everybody in your program is like these 3?
Yes. That a short enough answer for you?
That's great.
Judge?
So I've asked a question earlier about the success of this program and how you measure its success. And one measure, Sergeant Liu, you talked about, this young person gets, as they've said, a second chance, and they're not caught up in the juvenile court system by going this. Are there other markers of success for this program?
The most important marker of success for this program is the repeat offense rate. Is this young person committing another offense? And we've just finished a pilot program of about 14 cases, and of those 14 cases, only 1 has committed another offense. Youth courts, like the one that we have here, nationwide, have a repeat offender rate of only 5%. That means of all the kids who go through youth courts like this, only 5% repeat offend. That's an 80% difference from the repeat offense rate for kids through the traditional court system.
Are you saying the repeat offense rate for young people who do not go through youth courts is up to 85%?
Particularly for young people who are incarcerated,
Right.
yes.
85%.
It could be that high.
That high, and then it's only 5% for young people, and even lower for East Palo Alto Youth Court, correct? From your pilot, at least.
Exactly. It's hard to, it's not a statistical model, but yes, I mean, it's a testament to what we do in terms of paying so much attention to these young cases. And we do it at a tremendous cost savings to the system.
So what's the cost saving?
In San Mateo County, to try a young person through the traditional court system costs about $100,000 per case. In youth court, if we were to hear every juvenile misdemeanor in East Palo Alto, our cost would be less than $5,000 per case.
100,000, 5,000 per case.
That's right.
So why doesn't every community have a youth court?
To be honest, Judge, I think it's because they haven't discovered the power of this program.
This is remarkable. So what can I say but thank you for what you all are doing. You're giving back to this community. As young as you are, you're giving back already, and I think it's remarkable. Leora, you have started something in this community that has just caught on, and I know that you've got tremendous support from all over. And we have support from Sergeant Liu. We have support from the East Palo Alto Police Department. It's just all a remarkable phenomenon. So thank you all for bringing East Palo Alto Youth Court to this community.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Thank you.
Not long ago, I had the good fortune of interviewing David Lewis on this program. Ironically, he appeared in the very first episode of Make the Call, where the subject of our program was the no-snitch phenomenon. His untimely and violent death has shaken our community. While tributes have been pouring in for David, the greatest tribute of all is to bring the person who murdered him to justice. The San Mateo Police are investigating this case. If you have any information, no matter how small, please call either the San Mateo or East Palo Alto Police Departments. Do this for David. He wouldn't have hesitated to do the same for any of you. In today's program of Make the Call, we have presented the profiles of two people who were murdered in East Palo Alto. Paris Meacham, killed July 22, 2009, and Kara Jean Gigi Parks, murdered November 21, 2008. No one should get a free pass to commit murder. Yet if you keep quiet and don't come forward, that's what you're doing, giving a murderer a free pass. No more free passes in East Palo Alto for those who bring harm to others. So do the right thing. Make the call, 1-888-MURDER-0. Thank you for joining us.
Make the call, y'all. Make the call, y'all. We can't be afraid. We praying for better days. Make the call, y'all. Make the call, y'all. It ain't up to the police. It's up to you and me to make the call, y'all. Make the call, y'all. It's a difference from snitching and being a concerned citizen. Make the call, y'all. Make the call, y'all. The streets stay violent if we remain silent. So make the call, y'all. Make the call, y'all. We can't be afraid. We praying for better days. Make the call, y'all. Make the call, y'all. It ain't up to the police. It's up to you and me to make the call, y'all. Make the call, y'all.
Make the call. No one should get away with murder.